Who is Jesus? And really, what does he mean for our lives? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about on today's devotional. Coming up. Hey everyone, welcome once again to the One Verse Daily Devotional. I'm so glad that you're with me here today. And our focus is to dive into just one simple verse every day to grow a little bit deeper in our faith. And so I'm glad that you're with me here today. Our verse today is incredible. It is the words of Jesus, and it really answers that question from Jesus himself about who he is, what he means for our life. Now, Jesus means a lot of things for our life, and it takes more than 5 to 7 minutes to discuss who Jesus is, but he gives us just a nugget of truth today that I think is so powerful for our lives. Our one verse today comes out of John 6:35, and it says, "Then Jesus declared, 'I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty.'" Such a powerful verse, words from Jesus himself. I am the bread of life. This is one of the famous I am passages of Jesus out of the Gospel of John. But I want to back up and give you a little bit of context at where this comes from, because honestly, as great as this verse is, it's almost a little bit of a funny story, what I think is a funny story out of the Gospel of John. If you back up in your Bibles just a little bit, we start John chapter 6 with Jesus feeding the 5,000, one of his most famous miracles, right? Jesus feeds the 5,000, and in the same chapter, the very next miracle is another one of Jesus's famous miracles where he walks on water. So in John chapter 6, we start with the feeding of the 5,000, okay? Then Jesus walks on water, all right? Those things have happened, they've been established. And then after he walks on the water, Jesus gets on the boat and starts to discuss things with his disciples. And he says to them, the work of God is this, and this is in verse 29, to believe in the one whom he sent. And the disciples are like, okay, well, we want to know all about this. What's going on? How can we know this? And they say to him, I love it. This is where, I don't know, I think it's hilarious. It cracks me up. They literally look at Jesus and they say, "What sign will you give that we may see it and believe you?" We just established in the same chapter that Jesus fed the 5,000 and walked on water. And then the disciples say, "That's all good, Jesus, but what sign are you going to give that God sent you?" I don't know. It's like, how many more signs do I need to give you guys? It just cracks me up. It makes me laugh so hard. Like, if he hadn't just performed two of his most famous miracles, I might give him a pass. But it's like, bros, you were just out there and collected the 12 baskets left over from the loaves and the fishes after he fed the 5,000 men plus women and children. So like 12 to 15,000 people, all right? Jesus feeds them off just a few loaves and fishes. You collected 12 baskets. Then you're out on the storm. Jesus is walking on the water, calms the storm, does all the things. And you're like, hey, Jesus, what's a sign? What's a sign that you're from God? It just cracks me up. Well, Jesus delivers, right? He says, here's the sign. And he starts talking about Moses. And they're like, okay, we're tracking with you. We've heard about this Moses guy. We know all about him. We know the Old Testament law. We know all about Moses. And then they look at Jesus. They say, well, Moses' sign, God gave Moses a sign, and it was manna from heaven. Well, Jesus is like, the best communicator of all time. And so he picks up on what they're saying, and he decides to teach them a powerful truth. And that's what brings us to our one verse today. So he tells them, he's like, well, Moses got manna from heaven, but God has something even greater, right? And they're like, the disciples are like, all right, we need this bread. All right. If it's greater than the heavenly bread that God gave to Moses, where's this bread? We want it. And then we have our one verse today. Then Jesus declared, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. Now, obviously, in our physical bodies, we're going to be hungry. We're going to be thirsty. but he's talking about our souls. That God will fill in, and Jesus really fills in those gaps in our souls. We're all hungry for something, right? We're all searching for something, and Jesus fills in that gap. He is the bread that our soul requires. He is that drink that our soul longs for, that we're so thirsty. There's a hole in our heart, and Jesus, the bread of life, fills that hole. I don't know where you're at in your relationship with God today. Maybe you've never trusted him, or maybe you've been in a relationship with God your whole life, but you've never really known how to go deeper. Well, I encourage you to continue to dive into things like this podcast, this YouTube channel, to go a little bit deeper in your faith. But even if you never watch another one of these videos again, I'm totally cool with that. Find some way that you can connect with God, that you'll read the Bible, that you'll spend time in prayer, go for prayer walks, listen to worship music, whatever it is that you can connect with God to grow deeper in your faith. I got to tell you, because he is the bread of life. And there's all that you want there. God will allow you to go as deep as you want to go. There's always another layer that we can go, right? And so when we dive into God and our relationship with Jesus, we're just eating up that bread of life, aren't we? And it's just filling our souls more and more and more. And then what we can do is we can start giving that bread of life out to others, right? That we don't just keep it for ourselves, but we share the bread of life with others around it. Hey, I got to tell you, my soul is satisfied. My soul is full. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to let you know why I'm filled up. It's because of this guy named Jesus, and he is amazing. See how that works? We fill up on that bread of life, and then we give it to others as well. What a beautiful picture of the Christian life. Hey, thanks for joining me here today. If you have questions, leave me a comment below. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on the podcast, shoot me an email, find me on social. I'd love to connect with you. Have a great day.